Dreadlocks, also locs, dreads, or in Sanskrit, Jata, are intentionally matted and sculpted ropes of hair. Various methods are used to encourage the formation of locks such as backcombing, braiding and rolling, while leaving long hair to its own devices. Foregoing, brushing, combing or cutting the hair will generally result in tangles and mats. The formation of evenly sized ropes takes planning and maintenance. A common misconception is that those who have consciously formed dreadlocks do not wash the hair, but this is usually not the case. Many dreadlock care regimens require the wearer to wash the hair as regularly as non-locked hair. History. In ancient Greece, Kouros sculptures from the archaic period depict men wearing dreadlocks, while Spartan hoplites wore formal locks as part of the battle dress. Spartan magistrates known as ephors also wore their hair braided in long locks, an archaic Greek tradition that was steadily abandoned in other Greek kingdoms. The style was worn by ancient Christian ascetics and the dervishes of Islam, among others. Some of the very earliest Christians also may have worn this hairstyle. There are descriptions of James the Just, first bishop of Jerusalem, who is said to have worn them to his ankles. Pre-Columbian Aztec priests were described in Aztec codices as wearing the hair untouched, allowing it to grow long and matted. In Senegal, the Bayful, followers of the Murid movement, a Sufi movement of Islam founded in 1887 by Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba Mbaki, are famous for growing locks and wearing multicolored gowns. Kibra, founder of the Bayful school of the Murid Brotherhood, popularized the style by adding a mystic touch to it. Warriors among the Fulani, Wolof in Mauritania, and Mandinka in Mali and Niger were known for centuries to have worn cornrows when young and dreadlocks when old. By culture, locks have been worn for various reasons in each culture, as an expression of deep religious or spiritual convictions, ethnic pride, and as a political statement. An alternative name for the style is locs. Buddhism. Within Tibetan Buddhism and other more esoteric forms of Buddhism, dreadlocks have occasionally been substituted for the more traditional shaved head. The most recognizable of these groups are known as the Nagpa of Tibet. For many practicing Buddhists, dreadlocks are a way to let go of material vanity and excessive attachments. Dreadlocks were required for many esoteric Buddhist rituals in medieval South Asia performed by Buddhist yogis. For instance, 1.4.15 of the hair.Various Tantra states that the practitioner should arrange his piled-up hair. In contemporary Tibetan practice, matted hair is replaced by crowns with matted hair attached to them. Judaism and Christianity. Several figures important in the Abrahamic religions potentially wore dreadlocks. Takers of the Nazarite oath in the Book of Numbers display the devotion to the religion by not cutting the hair, and possibly letting it grow into dreadlocks. This vow required the man or woman to abstain from wine, vinegar, grapes, raisins, intoxicating liquors, vinegar distilled from such substances, and eating or drinking any substance that contains any trace of grapes. Refrain from cutting the hair on one's head, but to allow the locks of the head's hair to grow, not to become ritually impure by contact with corpses or graves, even those of family members. The vows described in this part of the Bible has a significant impact on the Rastafari movement of the 20th century, and is the source of the Rastafari affection for dreadlocks. Samson was a judge of the ancient Israelites mentioned in the Book of Judges in the Hebrew Bible and is usually depicted wearing dreadlocks. According to the biblical account, Samson was given supernatural strength by God in order to combat his enemies and perform heroic feats such as killing a lion. slaying an entire army with only the jawbone of an ass, and destroying a pagan temple. Samson's one weakness were his 7 dreadlocks, which led to his death when they were cut off. African members of various African ethnic groups wear locks, and the styles and significance may change from one group to another. Maasai warriors are famous for the long, thin, red locks. Many people dye the hair red with root extracts or red ochre. In various cultures, what are known as shamans, spiritual men or women who serve and speak to spirits or deities, often wear locks. In Nigeria, some children are born with naturally locked hair and are given a special name, Dada. Yoruba priests of Olokun, the Orisha of the deep ocean, wear locks. Another group is the Turkana people of Kenya. In Ghana, the Akan refer to dreadlocks as MPS, which is the hairstyle of Akamfara priests and even common people. Along with the Asante Akan drums known as kata drums, this hairstyle was later adopted by Rastafarians, with its roots in Jamaica from the slave trade era. Rastafari movement locks are symbolic of the line of Judah, which is sometimes centered on the Ethiopian flag. Rastafari hold that Haile Selassie is a direct descendant of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, through the son Malachi. The dreadlocks were inspired by the Nazarites of the Bible. When reggae music gained popularity and mainstream acceptance in the 1970s thanks to Bob Marley's music and cultural influence, the locks became a notable fashion statement. They were worn by prominent authors, actors, athletes and rappers, and were even portrayed as part of gang culture in such movies as Marked for Death. With dreadlocks style in vogue, the fashion and beauty industries capitalized on the trend. A completely new line of hair care products and services in salons catered to a white clientele, offering all sorts of dreadlocks hair care items such as wax, shampoo, and jewelry. Hairstylists created a wide variety of modified locks, including multicolored synthetic lock hair extensions and dread perms, where chemicals are used to treat the hair. Locked models appeared at fashion shows, and Rasta clothing with a Jamaican-style reggae look was sold. Even exclusive fashion brands like Christian Dior created whole Rasta-inspired collections worn by models with a variety of lock hairstyles. In the West, dreadlocks have gained particular popularity among counterculture adherents such as hippies, crust punks, New Age travelers, goths and many members of the Rainbow family. Many people from these cultures wear dreadlocks for similar reasons, symbolizing a rejection of government-controlled, mass merchandising culture to fit in with the people and crowd they want to be a part of. Members of the cybergoth subculture also often wear blatantly artificial synthetic dreads or dreadfalls made of synthetic hair, fabric or plastic tubing. Since the rise of the popularity of dreadlocks, African Americans have developed a large variety of ways to wear dreadlocked hair. Most of the African Americans in the United States with dreadlocks were people that live in Miami and New Orleans, with Louisiana having a Creole and Native American background and Florida with Haitian roots. Specific elements of these styles include the flat twist, in which a section of locks are rolled together flat against the scalp to create an effect similar to the cornrows, and braided dreadlocks. Examples include flat twisted halfback styles, flat twisted mohawk styles, braided buns and braid outs. Social networking websites, web forums, web blogs and especially online video logs like YouTube have become popular methods for people with dreadlocks to transmit ideas, pictures and tutorials for innovative styles. In sports, dreadlocks have become a popular hairstyle among professional athletes, ranging from Larry Fitzgerald's dreads down to his back to Drew Gooden's facial dreadlocks. In professional American football, the number of players with dreadlocks has increased ever since Al Harris and Ricky Williams first wore the style during the 1990s. In 2012, about 180 National Football League players wore dreadlocks. A significant number of these players are defensive backs, who are less likely to be tackled than offensive players. Players with very long dreadlocks have been tackled by their hair, which is legal according to NFL rules. Methods of making dreadlocks. Traditionally, it was believed that in order to create dreadlocks, an individual had to refrain from brushing, combing or cutting. This method created dreadlocks that varied greatly in size, width, shape, length, and texture. Freeform locks are patterned to a degree, as the hair is separated in chunks into fairly determinate sections after washing. A variety of other starter methods have been developed to offer greater control over the general appearance of dreadlocks. Together, these alternative techniques are more commonly referred to as salon or manicured dreadlocks. Using beeswax to make dreads can cause problems because it does not wash out, due to the high melting point of natural wax. Because wax is a hydrocarbon, water alone, no matter how hot, will not be able to remove wax. As with the organic and freeform method, the salon methods rely on hair naturally matting over a period of months to gradually form dreadlocks. The difference is in the initial technique, by which loose hair is encouraged to form a rope-like shape, whereas freeform dreadlocks can be created by simply refraining from combing or brushing hair and occasionally separating matted sections. Salon dreadlocks use tool techniques to form the basis of the starter, immature set of dreadlocks. A matured set of salon dreadlocks won't look the same as a set of dreadlocks that have been started with neglect to freeform. For African hair types, salon dreadlocks can be formed by evenly sectioning and styling the loose hair into braids, coils, twists, or using a procedure called dread perming specifically used for straight hair. For European, Hispanic, Asian, and Indian hair types, backcombing and twist and rip are some of the more popular methods of achieving starter dreadlocks. Regardless of hair type or texture and starter method used, dreadlocks require time before they are fully matured. The process hair goes through as it develops into matured dreadlocks is continuous. There is also the ability to adopt different types of fake dreadlocks that may make the hair look as real as possible. This process is called synthetic dreadlocks. There are two different types of synthetic dreadlocks. The first is dread extensions, in which other hair can be infused with the wearer's own hair. The second is dread falls, in which one dread is tied into another with either elastic or lace. Both of these methods are used to make dreads look better and more appealing, and to achieve the desired effect of longer hair. Recent methods. Bridging is a technique that was developed extensively in Montreal, Canada over the last decade. It consists mainly of covering hair loss with dreadlocks. Guinness Book of World Records. On December 10, 2010, the Guinness Book of World Records rested its longest dreadlocks category after investigation of its first and only female title holder, Asha Mandela, with this official statement: "Following a review of our guidelines for the longest dreadlock, we have taken expert advice and made the decision to rest this category. The reason for this is that it is difficult, and in many cases impossible, to measure the authenticity of the locks due to expert methods employed in the attachment of hair extensions, reattachment of broken off dreadlocks. Effectively, the dreadlock can become an extension and therefore impossible to adjudicate accurately. It is for this reason Guinness World Records has decided to rest the category and will no longer be monitoring the category for longest dreadlock."